Welcome to the Fire Podcast. Really looking forward to sharing this episode with you. We interviewed Amit Lalji. He has an amazing story coming from the streets of LA all the way up to having clients like Serena Williams and on track to doing $75 million in real estate sales this year. His story is phenomenal, lots to learn, and here we go. Amit Lalji, welcome to the Fire Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
Welcome, brother. Happy to have you here.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me here. Appreciate you guys.
I gotta get the fist bump.
This guy is a dynamo, and his story is unbelievably inspirational. So,
We're looking forward to getting that.
absolutely.
Yeah. So where do you want to start?
We can start kind of how I grew up.
Yeah.
A
Okay,
little bit
let's
about
do that.
myself
I
and
love
then
that.
get into the real estate
Yeah, I
aspect
love
of
that.
it. So it's more organic about it, who I am and
Yeah,
what I
that's
stand
great.
for and things like that. So my dad is from the Fiji Islands.
Wow.
My mom is from India. My dad grew up with 11 brothers and sisters. His parents passed away when he was 9 years old.
Wow.
So there was a 2-bedroom house with 11 brothers and sisters. And it
Wow.
was not, obviously it wasn't convenient. And
Where was your dad in the birth order?
he was the youngest brother.
The youngest,
The
yeah.
youngest brother.
Because when you're in that situation, the birth order makes a big difference.
100%.
How many
Yeah.
brothers?
6 brothers.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then my mom is 9 brothers and sisters,
Wow.
but different dynamics of growing up.
Of
And so
course.
my mom's side, my grandpa got his law degree in the 20s when British were in India.
Wow.
And so whole different ball game.
Oh,
My
yeah.
great grandpa was taken from India to work or promised work in Fiji and we'll bring you back in 6 months. And that obviously never happened. So Fijian Indians migrated to India. Just
Yeah.
like any other parts of the world, like Jamaica and so on and so forth, South Africa. You have a lot of Indians and Indian population there too. So
For sure.
and so Pops no shoes growing up and he used to caddy. And so British were still in Fiji
Oh, right.
at that time.
Right,
So
right.
His love for golf grew from being a caddy.
Yeah.
Like, 11 years old. And what him and his brothers would go and do is when the ball went out of bounds or went in the rough for them to go find it, they'd go step on the golf ball and push it in and put a little marker there. So at night they'd come back and they'd look for the ball, wash it off, and go back to the market to sell it.
Wow.
So they get 10 cents or 5 cents for that type of hustle, I guess, at that time.
Wow.
You're surviving.
Yeah.
Survival mode. That's all that is.
Yep.
Wow.
And then my mom's side, on the other hand, was more so doctors, lawyers,
Right.
engineers. And so PhD, uncles, graduating high school at 15 type
Wow.
environment.
Yeah.
Right.
Very different.
Very different, complete opposite.
Yep.
They met so my mom was in San Francisco, met with my pops. She worked with my cousin, my dad's cousin, and then she introduced my dad. My dad's side of the family is all in LA. They migrated in Culver City back in the 70s
Wow.
when home prices were like 70,000, 40,000. Now it's like 4 million to get in, right?
That's crazy.
So times definitely changed. And so all my dad's side is down here and my mom's side is in the Bay Area.
Uh-huh.
And I have an uncle in Germany, Australia, New Zealand, Fiji, and so on. So
Wow.
yeah.
And so grew up in Culver City?
Grew up in Culver City,
Yeah.
West LA. They came here. Obviously, I'm first generation here, and it was more so of a dream, right? It was a white picket fence, raising a family, giving everything they had to their child. I'm an only child.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
Yeah.
Coming from,
coming from a large,
Well, I mean, 11 on one side, 9 on the other,
Yeah.
and then an only child. I'm
Wow.
sure they paid a lot of attention to you.
a little bit, but they say they're spoiled. We're spoiled, but I mean, I think it was more so of them working 15-hour days, and
Wow.
so it was to provide.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Understand.
the neighborhood, when they moved into the west side, which is the West LA area, borderline
Sure.
Culver City.
Sure.
At that time, it was the 80s, 84. I'm 41 years old. And so
Was it a little rough? Yeah, it was rough.
it was rough.
Yeah.
People don't understand.
Yeah.
People don't understand.
They
There's
don't.
still pockets of Culver City right now
That are
that
still
are
rough.
rough.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even right now, and in the 80s, I can only imagine.
80s,
Yeah.
90s, all of that.
Yeah,
And it was
rough.
You went to school, you'd have to come home at a certain time because, and then also here's the other thing: summers would be so hot with gang violence going on with Venice.
Wow.
Sawtelle
Yeah,
had a
yeah,
gang, Santa
yeah.
Monica had a gang, Culver City had a gang, And then I was surrounded in that neighborhood by different neighborhoods, like a block difference. That's how it like was. That's how gangland was.
The
right?
territory.
Exactly. And it's so compacted where if I went one block over is another neighborhood, one block over is another neighborhood, one block over is another neighborhood. Then you had the Crips here, the SAs here, and it was a pot.
Wow.
It was a melting pot.
Yep.
But my parents obviously did not know about any of that stuff.
Right.
So nothing was their fault for them choosing to move in the neighborhood because family members bought in and around the neighborhood.
Right. How did you survive with like moving one block to the next block and not being a member of any of those gangs, I'm guessing, or
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult for me to go down that path and explain, which is perfectly fine. But I don't know if I'm ready to expose that lifestyle that I actually live just yet. But I think when I'm comfortable enough and at a point in my career, right, because it goes hand in hand, right? But what I can tell you is, though, I had to survive. And so when my parents went to work for 15 hours a day, 16 hours a day, I had a cousin who lived across the street. He was older than me, and I just followed his footsteps.
Right.
All we knew was to go hang out in the streets.
Right.
And then being Indian or Fijian Indian, you're supposed to be going to school, different path. You're supposed to go right. We went left.
Right.
Same people in the neighborhood, same choices. And ultimately, as a child at that time, I was looking for love. That was really what it came down to.
Of course.
And, being from an Indian background, they're very strict.
Yes.
Very strict.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm familiar.
And so discipline.
Yep.
You go to school. I went to school in India for 2 years. So that's another chapter. But I followed his footsteps, and there was a lot of anger issues going on growing up. And at that time, it's always, I needed somebody to blame. And at that time I was like, oh, my parents, forget them. Right. And then in the long term, of course, when you get older, you understand.
See things differently.
They're completely different.
Yep.
And so third grade started getting in fights. Fourth grade started getting in fights.
Yeah.
Fifth grade started getting fights, getting suspended in third grade, and so on and so forth.
Wow.
And then sixth grade came along, and then now it's middle school. It's the 90s, baggy.
Yeah.
It's going down. Shaved head, so on and so forth. And then boom. It was a big shift because I kept getting in trouble in school, in Culver Middle School, and they were like, it's time to go to India.
Wow, interesting.
And so
what were they doing?
You were how old at that point?
I was 12-ish.
Okay.
And I was already causing trouble, right? And so it was like, let's go to India.
What were your parents doing when they were working?
So my dad started off, he started off in the hotel industry. Started off as he started working a graveyard auditor.
Yes, yeah.
And then from there, he actually got his high school diploma here once he came to the States. And then he was always very fond of education because to get out of poverty at that time, you have to educate yourself. There's no other way to get out.
Sure.
And so, and I didn't see that, I'm just like schooling, cool, and this and that at that time. And so he worked himself up to purchasing. Then eventually became director of purchasing for different hotels.
Right.
One right here, Sunset Marquise.
Oh yeah,
so he was
sure.
There, he was at Sunset Marquise until the pandemic happened and stuff like that. But
and your mom?
And my mom, she got her master's in English. She was a teacher back home in India. Excuse me. And then she came over here and she was working at St. John's Hospital in Santa Monica.
Wow.
And then from there, she was in insurance, billing and insurance. And then from there, she got a job at UCLA, and then same thing, billing and insurance and things like that.
Well, to compare notes, my brother was a doctor at St. John's, probably right when she was there. But
really?
We'll compare notes after,
I was born in St. John's.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah. So you went to India.
So I went to India, 7th and 8th grade. And this is a culture shock.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I'm born and raised here, cartoon, running the streets.
Oh, yeah.
Just, that knucklehead kid at like 12, 13, not listening to anybody. You go to India and the teacher comes in, you're supposed to stand up and speak. It's more so of like a military type of school, but it's not military.
Yeah,
but it is uniform.
Yep.
It was discipline.
Yep.
I got hit in my hand. I got smacked on my face. I got my ear twisted. They put a pen in between my fingers and twisted. Like it really, in the 90s, it was very like,
different.
Yeah, it was a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
And so but the education level in India.
Tremendous.
I'm going from a public school here to a complete 360 to India. And so it was a tutor in the morning for math because it was algebra, trigonometry, a pre-cal in 7th grade.
Right,
and it's
right.
I'm learning math and geometry 1 over here in 6th, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which I wasn't even paying attention to. But
Yeah.
I get there, and so it's 6:30 because there's no hot water there, right, at that
Wow.
time, and the electricity is gone, and so on and so forth. And so what we would do is in the morning, no showers. In the morning, we'd wake up 6:30. From 7 to 8, we would have a tutor come in for math. And so we have to be already dressed up in uniform, probably no tie on at that moment, but just communicating through him. And it was my cousin, my 2 cousins, and myself. And they came from the Bay
Including
Area.
it wasn't the cousin from across the street.
No.
Okay.
He was still still running amok. But and so it was that tuition, eat something, walk to school, come back, change, get a snack, cross the river to go from my biology, chemistry, and physics tutor because the education level. I didn't comprehend what was going on, and so when that was done, then I came back across the river and went to my tutor for Hindi and Sanskrit.
Wow.
I was going to ask you, how was your language? Was there a big language barrier when you went back, or you were speaking with your parents? Yeah.
So that helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
And so when I'd come back from there, then you'd come home. Sometimes electricity would be on, sometimes it wouldn't, and then you'd get to doing your homework.
Did you enjoy it? Was it like after you got acclimated, or?
Looking back at it, yeah, I wish I would have finished like high school there.
Okay.
Yeah. But at that
So
time,
why
it was
only
like,
2 years?
I think it was more so to come back because my mom went with me too, and my mom's family is still there. And so it was my mom, my aunt from the Bay Area, her 2 kids, which are my cousins, and myself. So they did 4 years, I did 2 years. It was my decision at that time. They brought me back after 8th grade. And so I came back to a school system where it was Palms Middle School, and there's 3 months left. Boom, I went right back to the people who got kicked out of Culver Middle in 6th grade, and I met them at Palms. So I circled back to them.
Wow.
I didn't end up crossing the stage to graduate. And then they're like, what are we doing next? End up going to private school.
Oh, man. Right.
Le Lycée Français on Overland.
Sure.
So I ended up going to that school.
Which is a great school.
Which is a great school.
Yeah.
And I don't know how my parents were able to afford it at that time because everyone was getting dropped off in limos and so on and so forth. And I have my mom's in my little Volvo pushing, right? And so was there in 9th and 10th. And I ended up connecting back with my cousin at that time and the family and the boys in the neighborhood. And I was still running amok in the school, but just in uniform.
Wow.
And everything else that came along with it. I got into some more trouble in 10th grade. That was pretty bad. And I ended up going to uni high for 3 months. From uni, I got shipped to New Zealand.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
New Zealand.
what was it? Why?
Just because of everything that was going.
So your parents?
Well, I had to leave.
Right. Okay.
I had to leave for a little bit. For a year. Uniform as well. It's more of a cultural mix of islands, right? You have the Cook Islands, Samoa, Tonga, Papua New Guinea, Solomon Islands, Fiji Islands, and people who are trying to get away or trying to grow out of the smaller islands, they shift to the closest, or whatever money they have, they shift to the closest island, which is New Zealand.
Right.
If they do have additional funds, then they go to Australia. And if not, they try to get to America. That's the staple. The States is it.
Okay.
Like you mentioned, when I went to India, it was kind of like, it was a platform. Like, this is the guy from India and this Fresh Prince of Bel-Air type thing. And it was pretty wild. It was different.
Wow.
Everybody wanted me to speak at certain, all the time and at certain functions and things like that. It was
interesting. All this.
Very interesting.
You got exposed to a lot, man.
A lot.
A lot. You know?
Yeah, from being really the bad kid, then you go to India, and it's almost like famous in India.
Yeah, with discipline. More discipline.
So when did you return to the States?
So I returned in 12th grade.
Okay.
And then the school was still going, semester was still going on. Ended up going to Hamilton. Hamilton's in the neighborhood.
Yep.
Right back to the same people, places, and thing, and just like this. And what I told myself was, I remember this distinctly, that if I make it to be 18 years of age, that's how deep I was involved in everything, that if I make it to be past 18 years of age or till I'm 18 years of age, I'll ask for some help.
Wow.
I remember coming home, I just turned 18, I was like 17 and a half. I just like June, my birthday's in May, in June.
May what?
May 31st. Yeah. When's your birthday?
I'm May 4th, yeah.
Okay. And so I remember like the first week of June.
Just turned 18.
Just turned 18, coming home, and just sitting down in my room and just bawling, crying, bawling. I'm aching. Now I got to change. And then I remember my dad having that vulnerable moment with my dad, him walking in and him saying, "What's wrong?" And I told him, like, if I made it to be 18, I would ask for some help. So, okay, no problem. He gets me in a program in Pasadena, and I haven't graduated high school or anything just yet. I get to this program, and they're strict lockdown programs, so on and so forth. I go through the program, and I get in a little trouble after some time over there too. And mind you, like growing up in the neighborhood and stuff like that, drinking at a young age, running the streets at a young age, it's all what we know is pretty much. And it was heavily, like on a daily basis. It's constant, 24/7. And so I made it through the program. I got kicked out the program, came back in the program. And when I came home this time, I ended up getting my GED because I was like, I got to change. I got to do something different, right? I started getting work, started working. I went to Santa Monica College for a semester, started doing that. All right. And then, but the problem was I kept coming back to the same people, places, and thing in the neighborhood at that 18 years of age. Now at 19. And it probably took like a month and a half, 2 months. My will wasn't there. I went right back to it. From 19 to 31.
Wow.
Was when everything really hit the fan.
Wow.
And this was
as they say, the rock bottom.
Rock bottom. Multiple times. I've ran into some people since I've come home and been home. Like, you're still alive?
Wow.
That was more so of it. It's very deep where it goes into of sleeping in the streets, being around the streets, being in neighborhoods that, probably weren't supposed to be in, being around the same people, hustling, grinding, street level though. Literally, it's a saying that I say now that I've just come up with. I don't know, it could be stupid or something, but from running the streets to selling the streets now. And so it's like I'm putting up signs in neighborhoods where, I shouldn't have been in. Right? Or I have a lot of history in those neighborhoods. And so now I'm selling homes in those neighborhoods. Or there's pockets where I remember, the police pulled us over or something like that, that now I'm breaking price points in.
How vivid, I'm curious.
It's insane.
All those memories from that
Oh my
period.
God, yeah. So the thing with that lifestyle, the stuff that I do remember, like I can be driving down Venice Boulevard and something will pop up like this happened right here, and on a constant basis.
Right.
Whether I don't know if they call it PTSD or whatever it is, but these type of moments
memory triggers.
Memory trigger. That's and they're so vivid and clean and clear that it shakes my boots because I know exactly what happened at that moment.
It'd be interesting to write them down when you have that. Yeah. Did you ever do have you done much therapy?
As a child, they try to have me, like as a young teenager and stuff like that. My folks try to bring me through therapy and things like that. We did a little bit of that. I just haven't done it recently, but it's a good, I've heard.
I have some good ideas for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm open. I'm always open to listening and learning.
Yeah. There's a guy I work with right now who's if you go and you look up Phil Stutz, who's famous.
The Tools.
Yeah, he wrote a book called The Tools. I have a therapist and he's like sort of therapist to the stars, and I have a therapist that's very similar without even knowing that he's similar because he's old. Phil Stutz is also old, but very similar, and it's way more about forward change than it is the past. And in the first session I had with him, I liked him a lot. He was very tough. I found him to be in the first session condescending, and one of the things he said to me is, I don't care what you say. I don't care how you feel. I don't care what you think. And I'm like, wait, stop there. I mean, did you just say you don't care how I feel? Because you're a therapist, right? And afterwards, I talked to the friend who referred me. I was like, oh, how did it go? And I'm like, the truth is I learned a lot. It was great. And guy's not nice to begin with. And she laughed. And then she told me that that like 80% of his practice was with addictive, with rehabilitating addicts. And, with an addict, like no matter who you are, 101 is to lie about the addiction. So that's why he said, I don't care what you say.
Yeah,
it's like what you do. That's what he cares about. What do you do?
Personal responsibility.
Yeah. What are you going to do? And the number of people I've referred him, including, I do couples therapy with him. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. He's, and he is a lot nicer, but it's all about results. It's not about, it's not psychotherapy where you lay down on the couch and recount all your memories. And
so Amit, what was the 31 years old? What was like the turning point?
At the age of 30, I had to meditate. I think I hit my rock bottom for the 50th time, maybe the 60th. I was still surprised I'm still alive from the stuff I was going through, from the things I did, whether it was to harm myself or not that way, but just running in the streets is harming yourself.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That, like, not physically, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was myself meditating in the worst case or worst possible scenario, worst possible area I can be in. Chaotic, completely chaotic. And I had to self-meditate. I had to figure out what and how, why, where, and what I'm doing in life. I think I was coming to an age or a point where I've done all of this stuff already, and now I have to do something different. And I think what circled back was that the love that they never gave up on me, which was my folks, helped me circle
Finally
back.
helped you
realize. And so I meditated for a year on what I wanted to do and what my passion was, really. What was my passion? And it was to help people. I came up with the conclusion after reading multiple books, studying, reading, and so on and so forth, was to help people. I felt joy and happiness in pushing a car across the street for someone, in walking a lady across the street with a bag. The small things that I did when I was out there, because I still was a decent human being, right? Even though the stuff was happening, I was still a gentleman. I still opened the door for people, and still this day I still do. And so I needed to know what I loved. And where was my why and where I was going and what I wanted to do, and it was to help people. I just didn't know how or what or when. So came home, I was working odd end jobs. So Danny Navarro and I were good friends. And so we kind of have a similar path story and so on and so forth. And so him and I met, and him and I were like kind of the only ones actually putting in the work, catching the bus at 4 a.m. to go get odd end jobs, to figure out, just to pay the bills and to be righteous, to be a productive member of society. And so I had a job in a 20,000 square foot freezer in downtown LA, graveyard shift, slept in my car, and then in the daytime I'd paint offices.
Wow.
And from there, I had a summer job in El Segundo one time, and I was actually, at this time, we were both living in El Monte. And so I had a summer job years ago at when I was like 16 or 17 in El Segundo, and my cousin was there, and he actually brought me on. And he, out of all the cousins, he was the one who's actually, he's been to the hearings, he's been to everything to help me. He never gave up on me, is what I'm saying. So I came back to him. He said, well, if you want a job, you have to start from the bottom. I was like, sure. My mentality was, I already messed everything up, right? So I'm swinging. My back is against the wall. I'm swinging. I'm fighting. I'm going no matter what. I'm not giving up this time. This is it. Like, if I give up, it's over. And
there's, you had that sort of thing, like if I make it to 18, and then you had that really try and fail. And then you said 19, and then there was 30. Is there something about these?
That's a good question.
Milestone years?
No, I don't think there's something specific about it, because I know people that are still in their 40s and they're still out there.
No, I know, but I mean for you.
Yeah, I mean,
You're like, hey, I'm 30.
At 30, maybe a
Yeah.
little more clarity, maturity. I think.
But it wasn't as much like 18.
The
because
number.
of the legal piece,
Yeah.
probably. Too,
Yeah,
right? Was it-
maybe a little bit, but I was tired of still running the streets at 16, 17, 18 years old. I
Yeah.
was at 15 years old. I was still causing, like,
Yeah.
even though I was going to India, coming back,
Yeah.
I was going to
Okay.
public school, so on and so forth.
Tell us how you got into real estate.
Yeah. And so the passion, the meditation at that point. Oh, real quick before we get into the past the meditation, I used to get newspaper articles, or I used to get the newspaper from my neighbor, and for a shot of coffee. I used to give him a shot of coffee. He used to give me the newspaper, and there would be hot properties, or LA Times with the hot property section,
Sure.
or the Raw magazine at that time. There's
Sure.
other magazines I can't, Forbes.
Yeah.
And I would cut out these homes out of the newspaper or the magazine, and I'd glue them underneath my bunk with toothpaste. And so, not knowing what a vision board was, because I wasn't privy to any of that, I started just waking up and looking at, okay, this is a house. I'm gonna buy it one day. Or I'm just to get my mind out of the atmosphere I was in. I would either fantasize about this home with, like, there's a house in Atlanta with 10 acres, right? And you see all grass fields, and it's just like, it's popping out, but it's taking me out of my outer body experience is what I'm saying. And so I would have these homes, and I still have these homes at home now.
Wow, that's cool.
In a little envelope put to the side. But I didn't know I was creating the vision board at that time for real estate. I knew I wanted to help people. Fast forward back to working in El Segundo. He told me when I came in, I had to work at the bottom, start at the bottom. So I started mopping the floors and cleaning bathrooms for about a month and a half.
And what was the business?
It was Edwards Technologies. It was an audiovisual company. And so from there, I got myself into purchasing, which my dad was doing at that time.
Yep.
And then, so purchasing in that same company. And from there, I worked my way up to business, because what I was doing and what I was unknowingly doing was trying to attract more business for the company. And so that street mentality of business mindset kicked in, right? And so then I became a business developer, business development in that office.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I got my own office. Then I landed Guitar Center for them. And so it just kept growing and growing and growing. And so I started to, halfway into that career, I started studying, I started looking into architecture, homes.
Nice.
Now that Facebook stories and memories pop up from like 10 years ago, I was just posting homes unknowingly.
Wow.
And they pop up today's feed. I'm like, damn, I posted this.
Wow.
And these are just homes, beautiful homes.
Right.
Unknowingly,
Just
right?
always inspired
just
by that.
inspired.
Yep, yep.
Just like, this is dope. This is dope. This is nice. And so at that point, when I started studying architecture, reading architecture, I felt like I needed to get into real estate. And why I needed to get into real estate, one was to help people. And with that, within a household, a family's created. You go through your love, you go through your ups, you go through your downs, you go through your ins, your outs. Everything is done within a house, within a house frame, right?
Yep.
Kids are born and so on and so forth. Your happiness, sadness, and everything you go through in life is done under that roof.
Yep.
And so if I could help somebody achieve that goal, I'd be satisfied. And so I never looked at the money aspect of it. That just wasn't, I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, this is the money, I needed it. It was more so of helping people. And I still cultivate that feeling and atmosphere of just helping people.
Yeah. Well, I know you well to know that that's absolutely the case.
And that's all I want to do, whether it's a house, whatever it is. I just want to help.
Yep.
That's it. Because we come with nothing, we leave with nothing, right? We can only leave behind what we have. Yeah, exactly.
Value. Yep.
Exactly. Memories.
Yep.
Memories. So at that point, I started studying for my real estate license. Took my tests like 2 times, 3 times. Passed my test, and then I started. Before passing my test, I was actually door knocking and cold calling, and so I went with Danny. Danny and I went to Santa Monica, north of Montana.
Nice.
And he was, I think, 6 months in
Very
the
high
game.
price point. Yeah.
Yep.
6 months.
And that's about what year?
15.
Wow.
15, 14, some 15.
Yeah.
Yep.
High price points.
And I had no idea what I was doing.
Yep.
Never door knocked, I didn't know anything about real estate still. He was like, you hop out one side, I hop out the other side. And I'm like, all right, let's go. So he's on the other side, it's 8:30 in the morning. I remember walking up to my first door, I knocked and I heard some footsteps coming down, and the lady opens it and there's a peephole there. She opens it, she was like, do you want? It's 8:30 in the morning. Slam the door. I was like, and I just froze for a second. I was like, what am I doing? And so I skipped the next 10 homes, right? Head down, was like, what am I doing? Why is she yelling at me? It's 8:30. Why should I do this? My ego, my pride, and everything is just like, I ended up going down to like my 12th home and started knocking. Eventually, I was doing 800 doors a week.
Wow.
6 days a week.
Wow.
800 to 900 doors a week. And that was like 100 to 110 doors a day. Low hanging fruits is somewhere where it's like $1 million price point to $2 million price point. I do about 75, 80 of them, 100 maybe sometimes, and then come back to the office, KWBH, make cold calls for lunch. Afternoon, I'd go to Bel Air.
Wow.
And I'd go hit those $50 million homes, $60 million homes, $80 million, $100 million homes, just walk on the side.
Door knocking.
And door knock.
Yep.
And door knock.
That's a tough door knock because the $50 million homes are behind a gate. So you're like ringing a buzzer at the gate.
Sometimes the gate would open up because they have a delivery, right? And I'm, me with my mentality is like, do I go in? What do I do? What's happening? And it would be 90 degrees outside and I have tattoos and I'm fresh on the scene, right? With real estate. So I'm very cautious about how I'm moving. I'm slacks, dress shoes, collared shirt all the way tucked in. And I'm just dripping in sweat.
Wow. Yeah.
And so it's more so just constantly knocking, getting the nose. The dogs are running and barking and chasing. And then you have the caretakers coming out. No habla, no nothing. And so they'd be speaking in Spanish. And then
what kept you going?
I was going to say, what were you saying when you were knocking on doors? Obviously, when you first started, you don't know what to say, but eventually, what's your door knocking?
Yeah, at that time, so at night, this is the other thing I do. I'd write handwritten cards, 50 of them every night.
Wow.
And they're just foldable handwritten cards. And it'd be like, I'm such and such. I have a client looking to move in the neighborhood. Please let me know if you're open to an offer. Real simple, straightforward, nothing crazy, not big letters, nothing, just straight direct because people want to be direct. Put my name, information, and card in it. And if they weren't there, I'd leave it there. And then in the beginning, I wasn't too sure on how to go about or where to go about. I've door knocked East LA, I've door knocked Pasadena, Pacific Palisades, Malibu, South Bay, Compton, Torrance, you name it. And I just didn't have a feel because I didn't know. I was just figuring things out myself.
When was the first time you had a success door knocking? How long did it take you from knocking your first door?
I was saying, like, what gave you hope? What was the first time?
I had to have, it was the faith and the belief that this was all going to work out. It was so deep within me of where I came from and what I've been through that if I gave up now, there's nothing else that's going to work. I'm not going back to a 9 to 5. I'm not going to go sit behind a desk. I can't do that. Just from the environment that I came from. Right? And so from there, it was...
Who introduced you to door knocking? Like,
Danny.
Okay.
Yeah. And it just reminded me real quick what was the Avon ladies who used to come back in the days, right? Or the church ladies or the church families would come and knock Saturday mornings and things like that. So I was used to that. And I just knew, even further back before that, when they'd come sell like the ice vacuums.
Yeah,
vacuums and things like that.
Right.
So I was born in '83. And so it was like I've seen some of it.
Wow.
So you knew that there was hope and a belief that it could work.
It could work.
Right.
Yeah. That was the only way. I didn't know anybody in real estate. Nothing was given to me. I wasn't introduced to anybody. I didn't have any followings behind me. I didn't know anybody. No, my family wasn't. Everything was shifting for me. This kid is home. What is he doing? What has he done? Do we believe him? Do we? Not only my folks believe, but everybody else around me. Right.
And it's obviously a 100% commission business. So when did you start, and when was the first time you got a bite door knocking, or what was your first deal?
My first year and a half. My first year, I got 2 deals. Not from door knocking.
Right.
Not from door knocking. And Uncle seen me working, hustling, and putting in work. He brought me to his house and he gave me an opportunity to sell his triplex.
Nice.
In Santa Monica.
Nice.
I brought Danny on that deal.
Nice.
Danny was helping me. You only give back, right? You have to. This is what life is to me. You have to give back. You can't cut, if you feel someone brings you to the table, you make sure you eat with them at all costs, no matter what. If I'm losing a little bit because he gave me the opportunity, I'm cool.
Yep.
There's more to be made.
Yep.
There's plenty. But
Yep.
in the beginning, you don't see those type of things either, right? Because it's like me, selfish. Not on with him, but just in generally speaking, like I need that deal. I want that deal. I'm not in the flow. I need money.
Yeah.
I want. But that mindset didn't allow me to get, right? But I continuously went, no matter what.
Yep.
No matter what. So I brought him on that deal, 1.3. That split commission, right? We split that. And then he brought me on one deal on the other side for one of his boys. And that was split. I probably made 16,000 that year. 17,000 that year. Or 18,000, something like that. And
what year was that?
that was 15. 15. 16, 15, yeah.
And so how did you survive? Because obviously that's not
Right. So I was still doing odd end jobs.
Okay.
Painting, things like that.
Okay.
Just to survive and keep the flow, keep the light on.
Were you
and
living with
everything.
your parents?
No,
or?
no. Parents were in Vegas at that time. I was on my own. I've also that 19 and most of my adult life I haven't been home. And now I'm trying to spend as much time with them, so I brought them home.
Wow.
And I
that's
remodeled
cool.
the house, and now,
That's cool.
And so at that time, it took a year and a half to actually get some type of motion in play. The second year I did like 10.5 million, 12 million.
Wow.
And that was, it
what
took
was
a year and a half, 2 years almost to get that ball rolling.
Okay. And was that just a product of consistency? And just grit and resilience? Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? And that is the amount of time that they generally talk about. Like when we back into the numbers of you can back into the numbers, say, okay, well, how much money do you want to make? So you're gonna have to make this many sales, and then you're gonna have to make this many contacts to make that many sales, and have this many appointments, and you keep backing into it. And even if you do all of those activities that will really get you to that number, you can't, and you're good at it, you cannot really assure that you're going to get that result it's really like 2 to 3 years is what they say.
It was about the 2-year mark.
Yeah.
But it wasn't all
But you're
sunshine.
hustling, man.
And
No.
It wasn't. It
So
wasn't.
that 10.5 million, if I heard you right,
10.5,
was
11.
how many deals? Where did they come from?
To think back at it, it was all from door knocking, cold calling, setting appointments,
Door-knocking, cold calling.
setting appointments, the grassroots.
Yep.
What you do, nothing was given, so it was all earned. And so from there, it
How
was
many
still
deals
ups and
was
downs.
that?
I think maybe like 7 or 8 deals.
Okay.
9 deals, 7 deals probably, not as much, but they were more spread out.
Yep.
Like now, knock on wood, I'm closing 2 to 3 deals a month. And
Wow.
so the goal is this year to do 75 million. So I'm
Wow.
almost at that threshold.
Yep.
So I'm pushing, I'm almost at that threshold.
And who do you have on your team now? So if you want to do 75 deals,
Almost
75 million. No,
Yeah.
75 million.
What does that look like? How many deals is that? And
Yeah, so
sorry.
that's a good question. So the breakdown, I know this is asked in real estate all the time.
Yeah.
I honestly just know one thing right now, which is to go, right? And the plan and to write it down. I have something written down. I just know the end goal of 75 mil for this year. I don't have the numbers written down as far as, I'm just being straightforward.
Yeah,
Are
I
you
don't have
on?
the numbers,
No, that's fine.
numbers written down.
Are
as far
you
as, like,
on
how many
track?
deals. I'm on track. I'm on track. For sure. It could surpass it.
your goal is to just go to get that 75 million. You're
Right.
on pace or beyond. What does just go mean?
Yeah.
So what's your day to day look like?
Day to day, that's good. Great question. It's still, the brunt of it right now is still the early rise, late to sleep. And so even though I do need my sleep and it's very important, right now I have a 5-year plan and commitment to myself of that success path that I have laid out in my head. And so day to day. And so I take care of my parents at the moment. Full circle.
Right.
God gave me the opportunity to come back and take care of my parents. My dad is suffering from dementia at the moment. It's been a few years now. And then I take care of mom as well. And so it's very important that I do everything I can for them. And
When did you buy your first house?
I just bought my neighbor's house
Wow.
for my parents. So that's a whole nother story. Yeah. And I never thought I'd have an office in Beverly Hills. Never in a million years. Calling it Beverly Hills. Now it's like, that's a whole nother, like, another thought process or planet thought. But I just recently bought my neighbor's house, who their kids told me I would never be able to purchase because if they seen how I grew up and what I was going through with
Wow.
everything.
Is that in Culver City?
That's in
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I worked a deal out. I helped them purchase a house elsewhere, and then I purchased that, and I'm remodeling it right now, and it's 2 units. And
Do you live in one and they live in another? Or?
no,
Okay.
I'm just going to rent it out once it's
Okay.
complete. It should be done in the next
I
about
see.
month or so.
Okay.
When did you buy the first house you live in?
I haven't. That was
Oh,
investment
wow.
first.
That's cool.
Investment property first.
That's cool.
And I'm able to do that now because of the path that I've laid.
Of course.
Especially in the last 2 years when my son was born.
That's what I was gonna ask.
That right there has elevated my
drive.
Purpose.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing in the way. Last night I was showing a house at 9:30 at night. No problem.
Yeah.
And it's like I know I need some counterbalance with it. And so I go boxing.
Nice.
Fine. That's probably my only out that I do.
Uh-huh.
I don't go out. I don't drink. I don't party. I don't do any of those stuff. Those
No,
days
no
I
yoga.
haven't done yoga. I'm Indian.
Well,
I
you have
should.
Yeah,
I got-
Sanskrit. I speak a little
Sanskrit?
Sanskrit.
Okay.
Well, I mean, just from the yoga poses, but
Yeah.
maybe, hey, you take me boxing, I'll take you
No
to
problem.
hot yoga.
I'm down.
So
yeah.
come
Okay.
back for a minute. What does
Yeah.
the daily schedule look like?
Right.
Because I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Early to rise, 6:30, 6 a.m., early-ish, 6 a.m. to rise. A little bit of meditation, first few minutes, just not much, but a few. From there, straight to my emails, messages. Everything that I was finishing up at 11:30 at night, the night before, is I'm following up on. Because the business is running productively right now, that I'm just on top of everything else. And so from there, I have multiple showings set up, showings, meetings, just a typical day. Like
What does the lead gen look like still?
lead
Like,
gen is more so, I still door knock.
how consistently?
No, not as much. Not at 5 days a week. Maybe
Okay.
like one. I door knock around my listings.
Uh-huh.
So right now I have like 8 listings, and so
Wow.
I should have 2 more coming up next week.
And where are those listings coming from?
So from my day-to-day business of what I've done, and referrals now.
So it's repeat and
Do
referral
you-
largely?
Repeat and referral.
Do you use a contact management system?
So how do you stay in communication?
I
I mean,
stay-
it can't just be
Well,
them
I want an
bringing the
answer to
phone.
that question.
The answer is no, because I know it. Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how
And
do you
should-
know who to call?
Right.
I have a list in front of my in my office, home office. I have a list on the whiteboard that I follow up on every day. There's my phone. I have people that help me out.
Is there anybody on your team? Do you have an assistant? Do you?
Team, yeah. There's so Shubha's just joined. She's phenomenal, and she comes from the lending field. And what she's done is she's allowed me to generate more leads, so I can focus more on my business in order to in order to generate more leads. So
You have.
And then who else?
yeah, so there's Anjali as well. Yes, Anjali is phenomenal.
Yeah.
She's helped. She lead gens, and then she also does a lot. She's been in the business, so she allows our business to grow as well too, completely. And so she does phenomenal as well. She just got a listing recently too.
That's
And so
amazing.
coming back to what Paul said, no CRM.
No CRM.
What do you do with respect to marketing, social media? Like, what are you doing to create mind
So
share?
I show my day-to-day on social media.
Okay.
On my Instagram stories. This is where I'm at. 1 minute I'm in Hollywood. Next minute I'm in PV. $14 million house, $1 million house over here. Day-to-day. My story is constantly showing of where I'm at. And it's just to let...
Do you get anything from that?
I do. I do.
What do you get from it?
I see my client... A lot of clients follow me too.
Sure.
And a lot of family follow me too. And so a lot of questions arise from
That's
that.
cool.
And when questions arise, then I get to get in.
Are you doing it mainly on stories, or are you
Stories,
doing?
and the posts are mainly of everything that I've done. Sold pretty much.
But you're telling your story.
I'm telling my
with
story
respect to
day to
the
day.
process more on stories.
Correct.
I'm gonna start following your stories.
Yeah. And I got to come back to, like, you have 8 listings.
Yeah.
That business is large, and there's not much proactive lead gen anymore. It's really largely repeat and referral.
Repeat and referral. The lead gen is me following up Like now it's the introduction game.
Okay.
I think I've been doing this like 9 years now. So now it's the introduction game. Who's who? I'm collabing with people, doing a lot of that. I'm doing open houses. So that's the lead gen, right? So
Okay.
I'm doing open houses on my listings, and from
And
there,
door
That's a
knocking
great-
around
door
your,
knocking.
Yeah.
your
open houses for sure. They're
Okay.
coming in. So
And
it's
you're
easier.
circle prospecting and door knocking
Correct.
around your
Yes,
listings?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
you have so much raw talent, and then you got the raw talent mixed with so much horsepower that I'm telling you, if it could even be another. I mean, we could tape a business consulting session, which is take it or leave it. By the way, it's like I don't come from a place of like, oh, I know, whatever. It would just be suggestions, like just, and I go on a whiteboard and, and really go through it and just given the amount of horsepower and the amount of skill, because it's a combination of the two that's generating that results.
Yeah.
Add some structure and systems and
Oh
And
man!
that, yeah.
Oh man! You would do
Leverage,
you could do 3 times
Yeah.
75. I'm telling you, you could do 200 million. I'm telling you.
And admit,
and I
know
don't
you-
say that
Yeah.
like.
And your just your authenticity and gratitude, which it's just like palpable, you can feel it, you can sense it anytime. Is a major magnet, and people feel and sense
And they
that.
know that you're gonna work hard to get them into the right house. That you're not. Obviously,
looking out for their best interests, it's
obviously
clear.
commission, is what funds your life, and that's not the sole purpose. The commission will come when
Right.
you put
Create
that
enough
kind of
value.
passion
and
into it.
that's exactly how I look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not nickel pinching or
Yeah.
things like that. If I need to help, they say don't do it, but I do it. This
Yeah.
is my business. This
And
is how
it's a
I run.
mindset-
If I need to set, sorry, not to cut you off.
Yeah, yeah.
If I need to help a couple, like I'm working with somebody right now, and she's going through some hardship. She's defaulting, and I need to save her. I'm not save her, but I'm helping her save her family.
Yep.
So if I need to lower this on this aspect so she can generate a little more for her daughters, I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah.
It's even better.
Yeah.
No problem. I'll take
Yeah.
care of you. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yep.
And so
And then you'll create clients for life
For sure.
doing that.
And that's always
and
the way you
referrals.
do it.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
mindset of abundance too.
That's
which is-
correct.
Yep.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yep.
Really super.
So what's the future? What does the ideal world look like for you
Such
3
good-
years
yeah.
from now, 5
Yeah.
years from now?
I think the 5-year plan is still to grind and grit every single day. That is what I want to do to lay that foundation. The foundation has to be stable. It has to be so rock solid that it could run itself eventually.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just any business model, right? So it's more so, and then giving back, right? More so to the community. I'm a mentor to kids. I speak at juvenile halls. I speak at-risk schools. I speak at continuation schools. I was mentoring 7 kids prior to like last year, and so through Imagine LA, a bunch of kids as well.
That's great.
And so it's all about giving back, and so it's more so everything else will come within itself. But it's a 5-year commitment plan to focus, so I can. I don't know if I can relax or chill after 5 years, but to stabilize the business so it could run itself.
And also, have you thought? And I already know the answer because you already bought an investment property. But have you thought about, as part of that grind, peeling off money to invest in real estate, so that creating passive income, and that could create that generational wealth,
Passive
that grinding, that moving along on its own.
100%. Yeah, I'd have come sit in your class.
Yeah. Well, we'll do. I'd love to do. I'd love to do one-on-one, and we could look at all those aspects to it.
Tell me what it's like to be a dad.
Yeah. Dad is the perspective of life has changed, right? So I see myself. There are no bads or goods. There's goods, but no bads or wrong about and how my father raised me, right? When as we spoke about being young and not knowing at that time was a different ballgame. But now I see the things that I felt personally that my dad didn't do at that time that I can give to my son now. And so it's just, even I'm the first generation here, so now I have a better perspective from where he came from with no shoes on and no lights and everything else, and he did whatever he can to the best of his capability and what he knew. And so I'm just trying to do that for my son, right? I'm trying to set a path for him where he won't have to go down certain roads, right? And so it's very important. It's very important. It's changed. It's me as a human being. It's completely changed.
That's amazing.
It's just
parents always,
it's another. Sometimes it's hard to explain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'm 18 months into it, so it's.
No, it was for me too.
Yep.
You know, ultimately, I think human beings are you know, self-centered, and then, you know, as soon as you have a kid, I remember thinking, like, you know, before I had a kid, maybe this is too much information, but you've shared a lot. So before I had a kid, you know, it was like, who's the most important person other than you? I would say my mom. I think, okay, well, you know, if you have to choose between you or your mom, I'd be like, you know, she had a good run, you know, right? Right. And then as soon as I had my daughter, I was like, dude, I'll step out in front of a bus, you know, right? And even like 18 months, you're like, dude, like 18 months is already starting to be good, because I like it when they can walk and talk a little bit, you know, like then I'm like, I'm in, you know, but even when she was not even walking and talking, I'm like, that's how perspective changed for me. Yeah.
So one of the highlights of your career that says a lot about you is your relationship with Serena Williams. So tell us how that happened and how that's evolved.
Absolutely. So it was door knocking.
It's amazing.
Door knocking again. From
totally
a door knock,
amazing.
It changed my life. And so what happened there was, I've never been in Bel Air or door knocked in Bel Air. And growing up, I was a West Side kid, grew up on the West Side, never been to that side of Sunset ever. And it was like, I knew where UCLA was and I knew Sunset from the backside. I just never been to Bel Air on that side. So we just happened to pull up one morning, long sleeve shirt, hot, sweating, same thing, walking up Stone Canyon, knocking, leaving these red cards that I used to write every evening or every night at doors, boom, leaving cards, knocking, dogs would come running, press the bell, come up to this old home. It was like a French chateau. 1 acre flat, 1.5 acres uphill, or 1.7 acres uphill. And I felt like George Burns lived there, right? Smoking a cigar in the back. It was an old French chateau of a home. And it had a great ballroom in the courtyard area and things like that. So press the bell, Maria comes out. Obviously we know Maria now, but she comes out and I was like, hola, ¿cómo estás? And started talking to her. I was like, hey, are the owners home? And she was like, no, the owners aren't home. Can you give this to the owner? And so was Greg and I. And so gave her the card and she's like, okay, no problem. So we're going up the hill, we're coming back down, and Serena just won the Australian Open.
Wow.
And she didn't announce that she was pregnant yet. And so she's walking out for a run with her best friend Val. And we're coming down the street and I'm just like, we're looking and she's like, hey, did you leave a card here? What? Yeah. Walked across the street to Stone Canyon, in the middle of Stone Canyon, had a 20-minute conversation with her about life, about family, then about real estate. And pretty much asked for her assistant's number, thinking nothing of. Said we're going to call the assistant once we get back to the office, and so on and so forth, and that's it. Thinking nothing of. Got back to the office, hey, Dakota, how you doing? Met Serena. She told me to give you a call, let you know that we met her, so on and so forth. Oh, okay, great, nice to meet you guys, so on and so forth. No problem. The next morning, Dakota calls. She's like, hey, Serena wants to see some houses.
Wow.
And from there, ended up selling her house that we met her at for 8.1 and helped her purchase for about $7 million. And now we're still good friends with her. She was down here for the ESPYs and things like that, and you know, we still talk and things like that. So it's been a blessing.
It just shows the possibilities, right? I mean,
the possibilities are incredible.
That's it. When you have that mindset of abundance and you come from curiosity and contribution and you stay consistent, and great things happen in time.
Yeah.
You just have to stay
the course.
That's like the old adage of like luck. Was that lucky? I mean, come on. The guy door knocks 900 doors.
An opportunity needs preparation, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Right. So it's been phenomenal. We have a great relationship to this day. Still talk. So it's been
She's
great.
a friend. I mean,
She's a friend.
Yeah.
She's It's solid. It's different.
Yeah.
It's different. So
Interesting.
Tribute
That's
to you,
so
brother. Thank you.
cool.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed it.
Appreciate you guys.
One of the things that I do is do what I call sort of a fire round. So if I had them printed, I'd give you half the questions. But each one of these questions we could talk, a half hour on. But I'm just going to ask the question, you answer, and then I'm going to move on.
Yep. Got it.
What's your idea of perfect happiness? I didn't say it was going to be easy.
He said it was going to be perfect happiness. Unconditional love.
What's your greatest fear?
It's so crazy to think this because growing up and running that lifestyle, I didn't care about death. And now, I have so much to give that the deepest thought is that.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm.
What's your favorite childhood memory?
Playing soccer.
What's the attribute that you most admire in others?
Honesty.
What's the best compliment you've ever gotten?
I'm horrible at compliments. I don't, for some reason, when I'm supposed to be open to accepting abundance, I don't. I shy away from that.
You're an amazing man.
Thanks. Thank you.
What do you think your greatest attribute is?
Giving. Unconditionally.
What's a talent you'd most like to have?
Talent, playing better soccer.
Still pretty active?
Yeah, I'm pretty active, yeah. I just tore my ACL, but yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
Less selfishness.
What's your greatest extravagance?
I mean, that could be said in a few ways. For myself, see, the problem with me is, and I'm being as candid as possible, I don't look into myself as what, even though I offer the love and the peace and the happiness as much as I'm trying to give, I don't look into myself for reward or compliments, I guess, if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah.
And so maybe, I don't know why, but it's not about me, it's about everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've always just been like that. And I don't know, that answered the question.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you consider your greatest achievement?
Taking care of my parents and a son, having a son, my parents.
What's the most important thing that you would want for your parents and your son?
We try to give happiness, right? But everyone's level of happiness is completely different, right? My mom is plain and simple. She likes the small things in life when I'm trying to give her the world, right? And she'd rather cook food at home and smile versus me take her, somewhere out or something like that.
Yep.
100%. So
and your son?
Son is time. That's all.
Okay.
That's it.
Love
time.
it.
Time is one of the most important things. It's probably the only thing we really have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have time to stay fit, active, give back, but time consists of your life, each breath, each moment you have, what you do to give back, things like that. Time is very important.
You go on a hike,
Yeah.
steep hike, rigorous, you climb and you get all the way to the top. And when you're at the top, you look down and it's your family and friends and your old crew and your clients and just it's the whole community down below. And you shout one thing. What do you shout?
Love.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you guys very much.
I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed this, really.
You're amazing, brother.
Thank you.
Amazing,
Guys.
really.